Hey,
Hello.
what's up, community? Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you doing, Ryan?
Doing well, doing well.
Good. Happy
Just
Friday.
happy. Hey, you know what? We made it through the week, didn't we?
Yes, we
We did.
did. We did.
Hey, great to see y'all jumping on Zoom. Allie, Kristen, Steve, Josh, uh, more of you. Who else do we have here? John, what's up, John Norris? Yolanda is here. Nick. Welcome to our second webinar of the week, where Sarah and I are sharing with you some of the exciting things we have planned for 2025, as well as talking to you just about some trends in the children's ministry space and with the demographic of KidMin leaders to help you as in your sales marketing roles in your various organizations. So, Sarah, we had a great webinar on Wednesday
Yeah.
and looking forward to another good one today.
Yeah, same. I'm really excited about it. I think when we were talking about what do we want to do more intentionally for 2025, this was one of the top things that we wanted to make sure we were more intentional on equipping our partners and how to properly engage with this really awesome community of children's ministry leaders. And
100%.
so,
Um,
yeah, I love seeing some familiar faces. There's also some brand new faces on here that
yeah,
may
and
have had a conversation with me, but I don't think they even know who you are,
I
which
love
is
it. Yeah.
kind of
So
wild.
Sarah gave me a heads up, and this same thing happened Wednesday. Where remember, Sarah, we were starting the webinar. I'm like, I feel like I don't know 10 of these people,
Yeah.
and come to find we have got. And today, I know many of you as I look through your names.
Yeah.
Madison from Samaritan's Purse is here. Madison, we had so much fun. We had some Samaritan's Purse people at our office yesterday. Madison was not one of them. Madison missed out on the party, but we had a great time. But there are several of you I don't know that I've met yet. And so one reason why we're doing these sessions is because we have so many new organizations that are are wanting to partner with Kids Matter throughout the year, and some of you are brand new in your organization or brand new to marketing in the children's ministry space. And so maybe it would be fitting, Sarah, if we start by just introducing ourselves. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that would be great. And then one thing before we start that, to just make sure everybody knows that when they are responding to in the chat, that they are responding to everyone, so everyone can engage with everybody.
Good call. Yes, good call. If in a little, yes, we're going to be asking you to chat sometimes. Please do what Sarah said and make sure there's a drop down box. You all know how Zoom works, but there's the drop down where you can chat to everyone or just the hosts and panelists. For me at least, hosts and panelists is the default. I wish it was everyone,
Yep.
but make sure to chat to everyone so that we can all see. And what about, I'd love for you to share where you're joining from and what organization you're with. So when you open the chat window, and we had something like 30 people register for today's webinar, which is amazing. There's John Norris. John's with Regular Baptist Press. I spilled the beans before you could type it in, John. Up in Chicagoland. Everybody else, and I already said Madison was with Operation Christmas Child, Samaritan's Purse. Open that chat window, please. Chat to everyone. All right, Nick, you chatted, but it just hit host and panelists. So copy and paste that in for me again, Nick, to everyone. Um, Josh is here with Tyndale House, and
Oh, we
look at
have
this.
True Play,
True Play with Ministries,
Huddle Monkey.
our friends over at Huddle Monkey. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Little expectation. We expect this call to be around 45 minutes. We are recording it. So if you have to leave early, Sarah is going to send this recording to everyone. So you'll be able to catch the recording later. And we are going to do some Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, practical questions about Kids Matter or any of our initiatives or anything, you can start putting those questions in now using that Q&A button on your screen. I'll start, Sarah, by introducing myself, then I'll pass it to you. My name is Ryan Frank. My wife, Beth, and I are the founders of Kids Matter. We founded Kids Matter back in 2004, and we are headquartered out of Marion, Indiana. Although not everyone works in Marion, Indiana. So we have 5 departments, basically. We have a sales department, which Sarah leads. who's on Zoom with me. So our sales department is remote department out of our office. We have an editing department, and this is our magazine, our books, our podcasts, our blog, our editing. All of our editors work remotely. Our creative services team, this is our video post production, our magazine design, book layout. That team works remotely. Here in our office, we have our programs and event team. These are the people that are building our programs like KidMin Academy and Kids Matter Pro, as well as organizing our events like uh, the Kids Matter Conference. And we also have central services department here in our building. This is bookkeeping, shipping, customer support. So we are based out of Marion, Indiana, but as Sarah will tell you in a minute, she's in Texas. We have editors. Our editing team is based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We're all over the United States, but Beth and I are so grateful for the opportunity to serve as the founders of Kids Matter. We have 3 girls, a 20-year-old, Lucy, who has a disability and will always be part of our home, just practically. And then we have a 14-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old daughter. I have a seminary degree, spent 15 years of my life in local church ministry, in children's ministry. And for the past, I don't know, 12, 15 years, I'm dating myself, have been devoted to full-time Kids Matter ministry. And so I'll share with you more about what Kids Matter is in a few minutes, but that's who I am. My wife, Beth, our 3 girls, and our connection to Kids Matter. Sarah, introduce yourself,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. Well, I'm Sarah Carroll, and I am the Director of Ministry Partnerships here at Kids Matter. I have been with Kids Matter for a little over a year now, and I come from a sales and marketing background, but God really pressed it on my heart about 4 or 5 years ago that I really needed to jump into ministry. And so I made a huge shift from a really fancy sales job to being part time at my local church as the children's director.
Yep.
And so I learned a lot in that role. And it really just ignited my passion for children's ministry. Through that, kind of had a full circle moment when I saw this opportunity come up. And within a couple of weeks, Ryan and Beth offered me the job, and here I am. So crazy story, but I feel like it just shows God's goodness in it all. And so I have 5 kids. 2 of them are my bonus kids, and they live in Iowa with their mother. And then I have 3 biological kids with my husband. I have a 6-year-old Jensen, 4-year-old Evelyn, and then she just turned 7 months. So 7 month old baby girl, Clara. And so we are a busy family. I feel very, very blessed in being able to work remotely for such an awesome organization that ignites both my skill set and my passion. And I love getting to work with you guys as ministry partners. You guys all just really bring a lot of passion to every call that I'm on, and I love that we get to partner with you.
I love it. And if you're not friends with Sarah, find her on Facebook, her little baby Clara. I mean, baby Clara sent Beth and I a Marco Polo last night on our phones. We watched it, Sarah, like 5 times. She is
Oh, she's
such
so
a
cute.
sweet little baby girl.
Yeah,
So
she's pretty.
that's who we are. If you're just logging in, thank you for being here. This is round 2 of the same webinar. We offered one of these Wednesday. We had like 38 people with us. Today we had about 30 people register, and most of you are on here with us. But if you've not told us where you're from, please do that. And make sure when you chat to everyone. I see a few of you, not to point any fingers, but Jane, Allie, a few of you just chatted to the hosts and panelists. Maybe Nick, you fixed it. Make sure when you chat, tell us where you're from, what organization you're with. Chat to everyone. Do the drop down box where it says hosts and panelists and pick everyone. That way everybody can see who's here and where you're joining from. We decided, since we have so many of you that are brand new relationships with Kids Matter, that we want to take a few minutes and just step back before we talk about 2025 plans and trends in kids ministry. Step back and talk to you about who is Kids Matter. So I told you we're based out of Marion, Indiana. Our mission is to equip and empower the global KidMin community. So we do a lot of the equipping by the resources and the programs, and the products that we provide, um, and the partnerships that we create with organizations like yours. These children's ministry leaders in churches are hungry for resources, and they love it when we introduce them to organizations like the ones you serve. And then we love to come alongside the KidMin community and empower them in what they're doing. They often feel like, I don't know if I have what it takes. And we just remind them that with the Lord on their side and such a huge community of like-minded people, that you can fulfill your God-given destiny. So at Kids Matter, we serve over 70 denominations. We got that data from our last reader survey. Over 70 denominations that we serve. And the interesting thing is it's not primarily Baptist. It's not primarily Assembly of God. It is really a wide, I was going to say slew, but that's not the right word. It's a wide, what's the word I'm looking for, Sarah?
Mix? I'm so
Wide
sorry.
mix. That's not the word I'm looking for, but I'll use it. It's a wide mix of churches that we serve. And the beautiful thing about it is that we're coming together around the gospel of Jesus Christ and the importance and the high value of ministry to children and families. And so this ministry started 20 years ago by doing seminars in local churches, which evolved into a website with online resources. And that website with online resources, with time evolved, and we started printing a magazine, Kids Matter magazine, that we've been printing now for 18 years. This is a quarterly print magazine that children's ministry leaders in churches literally all around the globe, primarily in the United States and Canada, subscribe to this print magazine. We had a small stint of about 3 or 4 years where we published some curriculum. I know some of you, like I see Mark Campbell on here with us. Mark's been around long enough. He remembers when we were publishing curriculum. It only took us a couple years to realize this is where God's really not called us to be a curriculum publisher. We're going to better serve this community if we can lock arms with curriculum publishers like so many of you. We have an online school called KidMin Academy. This is a 12-month diploma program where a children's ministry leader can get certified in children's ministry. KidMin Academy is 7 years old, and we have awarded over 4,200 diplomas to children's ministry leaders over those 7 years. We also have a conference called the Kids Matter Conference. I know many of you are part of the Kids Matter Conference. We just wrapped up our conference in September. This is an event that happens every fall, and it's a gathering over 3,000 people in one space for 3 days. And if you've never been to the Kids Matter Conference, it's really crazy how God has, in such a short matter of years, this has turned into the largest event of its kind, with over 3,000 children's ministry leaders and their teams in a big old exhibit hall. And we give away a car every year to one of the children's ministry leaders in attendance. It's a really, really special event. We have a vibrant Facebook community that if you're not a part of, I think would be great for you to be a part of. It's called Kids Matters. I Love KidMin. Maybe Sarah, you could drop that into the chat since I'm talking, either a link or type it in, but it's the I Love KidMin Facebook community. This is a Facebook community of 33,000 children's ministry leaders. Because I'm an admin on the account, I'm able to see the analytics that Facebook gives me. And Facebook tells me, and I just looked at this last week, that 26,000 of these 33,000 members are what they qualify as active members of the community, of the Facebook community. So this is a very active Facebook community, something I would encourage each of you to be part of, if nothing else, just to keep your pulse on what children's ministry leaders are talking about. What are their pain points and what are their trends? What trends are happening out there? So all that to say, at the end of the day, we are passionate about equipping and empowering KidMin leaders. One of our new initiatives that I didn't mention before I pass it back over to you, Sarah, is Kids Matter Pro. Kids Matter Pro is a membership for children's ministry leaders, where we are providing training every week, coaching sessions. In fact, yesterday we did a member makeover. It was really
Yeah.
fun. One of our members, they apply for a member makeover. One of them applied. A lot of them applied. We chose one. Her name was, uh, oh my gosh, isn't this horrible that I'm already forgetting her name? She's in Plymouth, Indiana, Heartland Church. I've got too much on my brain
Oh
today.
no.
Sabrina, from Heartland Church in Plymouth, Indiana, and all the Kids Matter Pro members jumped on Zoom. We had some Kids Matter coaches, and we helped her for an hour punch through some of the struggles that she's dealing with in her children's ministry. So Kids Matter Pro is just a new part of our ministry that is a lot of fun. It allows us to support this community on a week-to-week basis. And we're really doing some innovative things, um, where we are connecting our pro members, which are definitely our most engaged customers, our most engaged children's ministry leaders, to our ministry partners. So I don't know if we'll have time to get into that today, but anyway, all that to say, one reason why we love you, all of our ministry partners, is because you help us fulfill our mission. Our mission is to empower and equip this community. And y'all have so many resources, whether it's curriculum, worship resources, software, um, hardware, furniture. You have so many things to offer this community, and we are grateful for the opportunity to lock arms with you. So, Sarah, I know we have some, before I jump into some trends and demographic stuff,
Yeah.
you've got some things that you want to share that we are working on this coming year.
Yeah, I think it'd be great for us to share kind of what we're hoping to achieve in 2025. And so, one of the initiatives, since we've kind of talked about where we've come from and what we do, one of our big initiatives is our magazine. Um, with our magazine, we are completely shifting our themes to be more aligned with some market research that we did. And so last year we took some time to really get a pulse on what these children's ministry leaders are needing and when they're actually looking to purchase the things that they need. Because we know that as partners, if you're going to be a part of our magazine, that's kind of an important thing to have to know,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And so we took some time to really make sure that we are setting you all up as partners for success, but also really making sure that we're being intentional with how we're serving this community in that way. And so with that, we have shifted our themes. We have the first magazine coming out in January. We're actually working on currently wrapping that up. There still are some spaces available if you're interested, but we're looking at wrapping that one up, and that is our family and ministry resource issue. We have found that a lot of people, if they are looking to spruce up their family resource center, or if they are looking at making a shift to a new software or something new and innovative for their ministry, that they're looking at making that change in the beginning of the year when budgets have rolled out. And so we have a big push for that in January. And then we have our spring issue, which is going to be our curriculum issue. And then we have summer, which is VBS. They are actually already looking ahead for 2026. We have a fun group of people who are planners to their core. I am not one of them. They're already thinking 2026, and I don't even know what I'm doing for Christmas. So we have that coming out for summertime, and then for the fall issue, we're looking at missions and outreach. And so we've shifted our themes, and we're being really strategic in helping make sure that we're expanding the reach of our magazine. We have a very dedicated subscription list already to the magazine, but we really want to make sure that we are targeting younger leaders who may not know about us or not feeling resourced within the children's ministry space. We have found that a lot of children's ministry leaders, which I know Ryan will get more into this later on, are about 30 to 50, I think is kind of the range. And we're wanting to try and target some of the younger audience. With our magazine, we are also hoping to implement a Kids Matter Magazine live event. This live event is really designed for you as a partner to be able to directly engage with our audience and talk about your resources to them. Um, we have found that this community is very, very relational. And so, giving you an opportunity to build those relationships every single time you have a presence in the magazine, we just saw that as a win win and a no brainer. So, we're trying to make sure that we're being intentional with that in 2025. Some other things that we're doing more in 2025 is we are expanding our webinar opportunities. We are looking to have 2 webinars every single month. Again, a webinar is really intended to help you directly engage with this audience. Like I said, they are relational. They are very, very relational to their core. So the more that you as a marketer can present yourself and your organization as a friend to this community, it is only going to be a win for you as an organization, and it's going to help serve and love on this community. And then, Ryan, I don't know if you touched on Global Kidmin Day. Maybe you can talk about Global
I
Kidmin Day and then how we're switching that to now being Global Kidmin Week.
Very good. Yes, I forgot to mention that. Over the last 5 years, this is a major initiative for 2025 that you will have some opportunities to be a part of. And I hope that you hear from Sarah. Let me throw this in real quick. Our goal is to be a good partner. So we are we are not just interested in selling you an ad in our magazine or a booth at our conference. Although we want to lock arms with you and we want you to be a part of this, we really, through the year, this is why we're trying to creatively think through all these opportunities where you can have touch points throughout the year with this community, build those relationships. It truly is a win-win. It gets you in front of our audience more than once a year, and it adds so much value to the community, which and ministers to them, which again helps us fulfill our mission that we feel like God has called us to do. So thank you for your partnership. For the last 5 years, we have taken the first Saturday of March and we have named it Global Kidmin Day. And what we have done is we create a 3-hour training event that's video based, where we bring Kids Matter Conference quality training, but we bring it to your church for your volunteers. So it's not training about how to recruit volunteers. This 3-hour training is for the volunteers. So we've dealt with issues like special needs and how to manage behavior in a classroom, how to prepare a lesson, how to present the gospel to a child, and all that kind of stuff. We are doing that again this year, although we are retooling that Saturday event and expanding it. So let me first tell you how we're retooling the Saturday event. It is going to happen on the first Saturday of March this year, happens to be March 1st, which is fun. But we are, instead of it being it's kind of like a simulcast, except for this doesn't happen live. This has always been a pre-recorded event that if you sign up for your church, you get a video file 2 weeks in advance. You download it to your computer, you get your volunteers together. All you have to do is push play, and the whole event just happens on the screen with breaks and transitions and everything. This year, based upon feedback that we received from the community of children's ministry leaders, we've decided to make it a little more customizable, where a children's ministry leader can tailor build Global Kidmin Day for the needs of their church and their volunteers. So we will have an opening session and a closing session that we're asking all the churches to use. But then in between, we'll have a variety of anywhere from 15 to 18 different videos that a church can use. So we'll have some video training on special needs. We'll have some video training on trauma. How do you help kids come to the church with trauma? We'll have some early childhood training, preteen training, VBS training, so that a church could really customize this. It could be a 2-hour event. It could be a 4-hour event. You could have everybody in the same room the whole time and pick which videos you want to show, or you could break into groups and have different videos playing in different rooms. So every year, we have thousands and thousands of volunteers that receive training at their church, and then on social media that day, we are hitting that. We call it Global Kidmin Day because we want to let the whole globe know, that hey, children's ministry matters, and share the stories of what God's doing around the world. This year, we are expanding it to Global Kidmin Week. So we will still have Global Kidmin Day on Saturday, which is an event for the volunteers in your church. But leading up to that, Monday through Friday, is going to be content for the leader, him or herself. So that will include a 2-day online conference. It will probably be on Tuesday and Thursday. Our team has to internally make those decisions in the next week or two. But it'll include a 2-day online event conference. We're going to have a day of thanks where we are just reminding these children's ministry leaders that we serve that what you do matters. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to do a day that we're calling what God, we're going to talk about, share the stories of what God is doing in children's ministry around the world, which is going to be a fun day. And that week where we're pouring into leaders all week long will then conclude with the Saturday event for your volunteers, where we are encouraging these children ministry leaders to get your volunteers together at the church for training. Sarah is creating opportunities for you to be a part of this, not just buying an ad or a sponsorship, but even speaking opportunities, breakouts. We know our attendees, if you've been to the Kids Matter conference, they love their breakouts and their training. Some of you will have the opportunity to provide breakouts. Sarah, I know you are in the next week or two. You're putting all of this together. I think it's together. It's at the designer, right? But pretty soon you're going to be ready to share the partnership opportunities. We're excited about Global Kidmin Week. The community loves this so much. And I think, and we've already received such great feedback. We just announced last week that we're expanding it to the whole week. And the feedback has really been phenomenal. So that is Global Kidmin Week.
Yeah, and I do have them ready. I'm just waiting until these webinars pass because I want everybody to have a fair
Gotcha.
chance. We do have limited sponsorship availability because it's an online event. And so there's only so many slots that we can fill.
That's true.
With that in mind, we wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it. Everybody has time before we open up applications. And so hopefully soon, within the next week or so, I'll be sending out information about how that's all going to look so that you guys all have the same chance to figure out if this is a good fit for you
I love that.
and your organization. Ryan, I think we're going to kind of switch gears now that we've talked a lot about Kids Matter, where we've been, where we're going, our initiatives for 2025. One of the things that we talked about for this webinar was making sure that we are serving our partners and helping provide something that a marketer would really value. And one of those things I think is really understanding the Kidmin leader. And
Yeah.
so I know that you spent some time really figuring out some things that you could present to them today. And so maybe we can
Yeah,
switch over.
definitely. Yeah, let's do that. So thank you. As I'm looking through these names, several of you that, John Norris and I from Regular Baptist Press, we've known each other for over a decade. John has served this community for a long time. I'm not calling you old John. I'm just saying you've served this community for a long time. Mark Campbell, Mark's got some gray hair. He's been serving this community for a long time.
You also
Several of
started
you,
young. That's what it is.
Stefan,
You started
yes,
young.
Stephanie with passion. Uh, but I know some of you are new in this space, and so I want to share some things about. We are, as an organization, we are very, very intentional about not only keeping our pulse on trends, which I'll talk about in a minute, but who are the people that we're serving. So whether you've been doing this for years or whether you find yourself new in this space, I hope that you find value over what I'm going to share over the next few minutes. And Sarah, you and I are sharing the same Google Doc
Yeah.
with notes. So as you see fit, if I share a point that you think would be good to copy and paste into the notes or the chat for everybody, that would be great. A few things, understanding the Kidmin leader audience. Let me start by sharing that. First, they are primarily female. They are primarily female. From our subscription base to our magazine is something like 92% female. Now, when you get to our conference, we have a little bit more men, so it jumps up or it drops about 82% female at our conference. But it is primarily a female audience, primarily in that 35 to 50 age window, 35 years old to 50 age window. Now, number two, a majority of these leaders that we serve are either part-time, bivocational, or they're volunteer. Okay, so we do have full-time staff people that we serve, but it is not the majority. A majority of these people that are leading children's ministry at the churches, a majority of our magazine subscribers, a majority of our attendees at our conference are part-time, uh, which means they could be bivocational, or they volunteer. There is number three, a wide age range, a wide age range. While a majority of them are that 35 to 50, we are finding, we want to work on this more. Sarah talked about this, but we had a good number of young people, and some of you experienced this at the Kids Matter conference, which we were just so blessed about that. I sat down with 10 young people at the Kids Matter conference, and by young in that 18 to 25 window. And we are, as Sarah said, one of our major initiatives for 2025 is reaching the younger leaders. And by the way, praying more of them in, which we all need to pray. We are praying that God would call more young people into children's ministry. Another demographic, they have multiple roles. So they often wear more than one hat. They are deeply passionate, but they are under-resourced. Now, I'm very grateful for the deeply passionate part. And those of you, that you've been serving this market for very long, you know that they are passionate about what they do. And if you're part of our I Love Kidmin Facebook community, they are passionate about what they do. What I don't like is the under-resourced part, but it is a reality. It's not always the case, but it is often the case where they are tasked with leading the future of the church and leading the largest volunteer force in the church and taking care of these kids that come in with such trauma and stress and social anxiety. And they are tasked with help. We got to get these kids grounded in God's word. And then when we get to the budget, the allocated percentage of the overall church budget is often much less than really what it should be. Now, we've got a heart for that as a ministry. And, if you all have followed us very long, we never say no to anybody. We really don't. In fact, I promise, if one of you came to us and said, I hope you all don't do this tomorrow or it might bankrupt us, but if you came to us and said, man, we've got something really important needs to be in this magazine, it's going to really help us, but our budget's dry. Can you get it in? We'll probably say yes if we'll make some space for it. That's our heart. And in this community, if someone needs to get to our conference and they don't have budget, we say yes. If somebody needs to be in Kidmin Academy and they don't have budget, we say yes. And we're a big believer. Jesus talked about this: give and it will be given to you, right? And with the measure in which you give, it will be given to you. So you never outgive the Lord. We know that. But that was a rabbit trail. How did I even get on that, Sarah? What was I talking about? That they're under-resourced. Okay.
You're deeply passionate.
Yes, they are. Speaking of passion, good
Yeah.
transition. They have a passion for discipleship. They really do. They have a passion for discipleship. While many of the volunteers may view themselves as, providing childcare, filling a slot on the schedule, or just a volunteer, these ministry leaders realize that what they're doing is much more than this. They are about helping kids come to know the Lord and to fall in love with him and his word, and to prayerfully serve the Lord for life. Now, let me transition, Sarah, and share a few trends. Anything you want to add to that, Sarah, or do you want me to jump into the trends?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add is the burnout factor, because I think that's
Yeah,
something you talk about a lot, and maybe you
yeah,
can speak on that a
yeah,
little
they
bit
do.
more.
This is another thing I don't like,
Yeah.
is, from our internal research, we have found that the average tenure of a children's ministry director or children's pastor, whatever you want to call this role, is 14 months is the average tenure, much less than even a youth pastor at church. So they get, going back to that under-resourced thing, which a lot of what drives us every day is, they feel under-resourced, undervalued, underappreciated, overwhelmed. I don't have what it takes. I can't meet the expectations of the church or my pastor. I'm tired. And so that creates a challenge for marketers like you. And a lot of what we do is, our ministry is fueled by sales and marketing, and we can't help people that don't know about us. And it's a challenge for marketing in this space, is because of the constant turnover in this space. And so, as a matter of fact, our conference grows. We have a net growth of 200 or 300 people every year. And those of you that come to the conference, you see that with your eyes. But it's actually a lot more than that. We have probably about 800 new people at our conference every year. And part of the reason is because not everybody has a budget to come every year. Some people have budget for every other year. But another part of the reason is because of the turnover. So our conference actually grows like 800 or 1,000 people every year, but you only see a 200 or 300 person a year growth year over year because of turnover. So, and that's a burden to us as an organization. I know to many of you, and this is one reason why you cannot outlove this community and bless them. They just soak it up like a sponge. All right, let me share some trends. Sarah, these will be good for you to copy and paste into the chat if you don't mind. Now, this is not, let me say this, these are not trends that I developed for a breakout, last year or a podcast 2 years ago. These are, I really tried to give this some thought and prayer going into this webinar. And a few of these would have been on a list a year ago, but a few of them are new on my list that I prepared for you. So all that being said, here are 5 trends that I think you need to be aware of as you serve in this children's ministry space. Number 1, there is definitely a trend, a need, an understanding that we have got to help kids answer the tough questions of the day. Help kids answer the tough questions of the day. If you're old like John Norris and I, picking on you again, John, the stuff these kids have to deal with, I didn't have to deal with this when I was a kid. We weren't talking about transgender stuff or boys, playing on the girls' team or a boy wanting to use the girls' bathroom or locker. I mean, that stuff, we weren't talking about any of that when I was a kid. We didn't have social media when I was a kid. We passed notes. Are any of you old enough to remember when you actually handwrote notes and passed notes, in the hallway? But the stuff that these kids are dealing with today and that they bring to the church. Now, the good news is that as KidMin leaders, my Bible's not where it normally is. I was going to hold up my Bible for you. We have the answer to these tough questions in God's book, in the Word of God. So we we need to constantly be pointing kids to the Scripture. The Scripture is our authority. So when it comes to the social issues of our day, what does the Bible say? When it comes to the issues of the heart that these kids are dealing with, how does God's Word provide help? How can you view yourself the way that God views you? That you are chosen, you are created, so on. So, but this is a trend, and this is a conversation that's happening a lot. In fact, we designate a whole track the last 2 years of the conference to helping kids with the tough questions of the day. And even though we feel like we designate a lot of content on that, we hear that we need to do more. So it's definitely a trend. Number 2, simplifying programming to maximize impact with fewer volunteers. I probably should have wordsmithed that a little bit. It's kind of a funky sentence, but I hope that you get the idea. There is, churches, very few people would say, I have enough volunteers. Most people are lacking volunteers. So there are a lot of discussions happening in the community around how do we simplify programming so it requires fewer volunteers, but still have a maximum impact in the lives of the kids. Now, that can be a challenge because most people agree that the biggest impact happens, the smaller the group, the bigger the impact, right? And so, yeah, I can get 50 kids in a room with a handful of large group leaders, and I'll have impact, but the bigger impact is going to happen when 5 kids get around the table with 1 leader, right? But that requires more volunteers. So this is a tension and a challenge that the community is wrestling with. How do we simplify programming to maximize impact with fewer volunteers? Number 3, trauma-informed ministry practices are a conversation that's happening. By the way, as I share these, I would love to get feedback from you in the chat. If any of you are like, oh yeah, I see that one. or I'm not sure what I think about that one, or you have something you would love to add, your feedback would be gold to me. And I would be very grateful. Just chat to everyone, please, not just the host panelists. Trauma informed ministry practices. I mean, these kids are coming. I said this a minute ago. They are coming to church every week with stuff. And these leaders in churches are recognizing that I not only need to know what their stuff is, which requires relational ministry, requires small groups, requires some one-on-one, but I've got to help kids know how to handle their stuff. And I've got to make sure that my volunteers are equipped with the word of God in their hand and knowing where they can point kids to in God's word for help. Number 4, prioritizing special needs ministry. Our churches have got to be inclusive when it comes to the special needs community and those that have been impacted with disabilities and special needs. Beth and I met with a church this week around this very thing. The church said, we don't think we have the capacity or the bandwidth for special needs ministry. And it was a little gutsy, but you know what Beth and I said? That if you're going to be a biblical church, you've got to figure this out. You've got to figure it out. This is the largest unreached people group in the United States. Families that have kids with special needs, they are staying at home on Sundays. But here's the thing. The minute your church decides to love and accept families that have been impacted by special needs, and the minute you start advertising that, you better watch out because they are going to come. This is a trend, and I'm thankful for it. Number 5, an emphasis on leadership development when it comes to special needs ministry. Kristen Langford gave me a yes on that because Kristen, I know you are passionate about special needs ministry, and I'm grateful for you and your organization. Thank you for raising the flag, Kristen, that special needs ministry is not an option. If you're going to have a biblical church, you have got to be reaching out to these kids and families that have been impacted by special needs. Number 5, emphasizing leadership development. We've got to, and I'm so grateful. I'm hearing more and more of these conversations in our Facebook community. At the conference, I sat down and had coffee with some children's ministry leaders, and they brought this up, that we have got to move our kids beyond where they show up at the church, they check in and get their sticker, they sit, they get a cookie, and they leave. They have got to be equipped to serve both in the church, and they've got to leave the church with a missional mindset, not only aware of what missional as far as global mission, but how can they take God with them. And some of you saw, I loved it on I Love Kidmin. And Easter's coming, Christmas, Easter, these little Jesus figurines that you can get from Oriental Trading Company. These kids are taking these little Jesus figures with them to school and passing them out and having Jesus conversations. In fact, Sarah and Beth and I were at Oriental Trading. Was it last week? Last week, Sarah, the week before.
Yeah, last week.
And we're like, oh, these Jesus things. And y'all got to develop some tracks around these or some gospel cards. And I think they may actually do that, which is cool. But we've got to figure out how can we equip these kids. And by the way, it was so fun when we were there, Sarah. This is a bit of a rant, but we saw some of their cool stuff that they've got. Y'all know Oriental, they've got all this cool stuff. But one thing they had really neat were these glow in the dark, or not, they're not glow in the dark. They do glow in the dark, but like glow sticks, but they're shaped like candles for like Christmas Eve communion services and so on.
Yep.
And we took a few of them home and we came back and told our church, we got to buy these for everybody. And they went online. This was literally the next day, Sarah. They went online. They were going to buy 500 of these glow sticks, and they were sold out.
Sold out.
And because we went on Facebook Live and talked about them. That's what I'm going to say it was.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's what it was. Yeah.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it. My point is that we've got to equip these kids to take the gospel with them when they go and have a missional mindset. So those are 5 trends. I hope that they help you as you serve this community. Sarah, I know we're going to wrap up. Yeah. And if you have some Q&A, by the way, please use that Q&A button on your screen. You can also chat, but you can also use that Q&A. Sarah, yeah. I've talked a lot the last 10 minutes. I'll turn it over to you.
No, this has been great. And I really hope that every person on this call or listening to it later on just feels a lot of value being added to what
Yes.
Ryan is sharing. And this is part of partnership for us, is really making sure that you all, as partners, are feeling like we're coming alongside you in helping better serve this community. All right, so it looks like we have some questions.
You want me to feed you questions, Sarah?
Yeah, that's a little
Okay.
easier for me. You want to feed them to me?
Oh, and
All
look at
right.
this. Sabrina said, looks like the glow stick candles are back in stock. Okay,
Yay!
good.
Awesome.
Hey, these are cool. I mean,
They're awesome.
yeah, we have some for our girls for this Christmas because they sent some with us, and we told our church, like, you got it. I'm always a nervous wreck at Christmas candlelight service. Like, I'm nervous for the adults, leave alone the kids in the room. But these things, you just crack them like a glow stick, and they're
Yeah.
shaped like a candle. I mean, it's genius.
Yes. Genius.
Okay. All right. Questions? Use that Q&A or use the chat. Brian, how soon do I need to register for Global Kid Men Week? That's a good question,
Yeah.
Brian. Sarah?
Yes. Soon.
Soon? Okay.
My answer is soon.
Yep.
I will send out the details early next week, but like I said earlier, there is limited spots for sponsorship. And so once they're out, they are out.
Okay.
So I would make sure that you put that as a priority item for you and your organization to figure out if you're going to be attending. The dates again are February 24th through
Good call.
March 1st. So mark your calendars for that. If you are showing you think you're going to be in some sort of involvement, I will be sending out sponsorship details early next week.
Be great. And this is you're kind of rolling the dice with us on this one. This is the first time we've done it. Now we've done Global Kidman Day, and hundreds of churches participate every year. But we just have a feeling that Global Kidman Week, we have a feeling we've never done this before, but based upon our feedback, that it's going to be very well received. It's kind of a touch point between the Kids Matter conferences each fall. And so it's going to be a great chance to get the community together online, give them a shot in the arm. We hope to see you at conference. Here's some training. So Brian, thank you. We'd love for you to be a part. Jane says, how can I, or can I, I'm sorry, can I sell items at my booth at the Kids Matter conference? That's a good
Yeah.
question because you can't always sell at conferences.
Right.
There,
Yeah.
you
I think
tackle
different
that one.
convention centers have different rules and stuff. Yeah, you can at ours. And so you can bring product at your booth and sell at your booth.
Good.
And it's really fun because every year in the Facebook group, people are asking, what should I pack for the Kids Matter conference?
Isn't that
And
fun?
every single time you'll see somebody say, pack an extra suitcase because you're going
Yes,
to need it for all the things that you buy at the
that is
Kids Matter
true.
conference.
That's true.
And so,
All right, Sam. And Sam, I think Sam, I don't know that we've met Sam, but if we have, or if we haven't, I'm looking forward to connecting with you. This is my first year attending the conference. Any advice?
yes. Um, my advice to every first time, or even just anybody who is coming to our conference, is look at ways that you can engage with this community before conference comes. In
I like that.
the sales and marketing world, this is called having a warm lead versus a cold lead. So
Uh-huh.
let's turn these people into warm leads for you instead of having it be a cold person that doesn't know who you are by the time they show up to conference.
Perfect. Perfect. And I agree with that. Um, yeah, I one time, and y'all are most of you you do marketing. This is what you do. So I'm sure you know this. I heard they say it takes 7 touch points before somebody will spend money with you for the most part.
Yep.
And so I think that kind of reinforces that, Sarah, that if you can create touch points prior to, maybe the likelihood of them spending money with you at the conference instead of them meeting you for the very first time. I don't know. All right. Okay. This question came through the chat, Sarah. And this is Joni. I've never done a webinar before. Do you offer coaching? And I don't know if she's never done a webinar period or just never done a Kids Matter webinar. I don't know which
Yeah.
one of those you meant, Joni, but you want to address that one, Sarah?
Yeah, we've worked with both. We've worked with people that have never done a webinar in their life,
Yeah.
in their very, very first time, and then they haven't done one in a while. This is their first time doing with Kids Matter. we absolutely do coaching. We'll set up a call with Ryan before the webinar,
Mhm.
and we'll make sure that there is a good understanding of how you're going to approach that webinar going forward, and just some best practices as well on, being online with an audience, to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident going into that webinar.
Definitely. All right, good one. And yeah, I'm just looking at the clock. We've gone 5 minutes.
I
So,
know.
so
Sorry.
if y'all have, you're good. But if you have to bounce, I think Sarah, we don't have a whole lot more. We'll wrap up in 5 minutes. If you do have to bounce, thank you for being here, and sorry for holding you over. I think y'all are going to find some value. We have a couple more questions. Um, Sue, when do you need to know about the 2025 winter issue of Kids Matter magazine?
Yes. Well, we are in the process of wrapping that magazine up. There are still spots available. So if you want to email me today and let me know, hey, I'm interested, then let's work out a timeline that is going to work with your team, and make sure that our team gets what we need, for the magazine this issue.
Perfect. And maybe our last question from Matt. Thoughts on email marketing in this space? Is it effective? That's a good question.
That is a good question. I will say that from my feedback that I've had with partners I have spoken to, we have the most engaged email list, for this market. We have an open rate of 60 to 70%, and then a click through rate of 2 to 5%, which is a really good, all of us in marketing space, that's a really solid number. And so, yes, I think it is effective. And I feel like we are really, really intentional in making sure that we are, keeping that engagement up.
Love it. Love it. Um, I think that's all of our questions. I think we hit them all. John, thrilled about the new timing for curriculum and VBS. Yes, thank you, John, for that feedback. I'm so grateful that y'all have been here. Just, to recap, we'd love for you to be a part of our ministry this year, and we'd love to be a part of yours. We really do believe that partnerships are win-win. And if you have any, by the way, if you have any creative out of the box ideas, we're all ears. We love doing creative new things. We would love to figure that out with you. Any way that we can champion what you are doing, please let us know. If you ever need a favor, hey, Ryan and Sarah, we're getting ready to push this. Any chance you could do a Facebook post about it? Please don't be afraid to ask. We really do want to champion what you're doing and help you connect with this audience. We're excited about some new initiatives like our new magazine calendar. And I'm particularly excited about Global Kidmin Week. And with a lot of good energy, Sarah, going into our conference for this year. We've already sold 1,000 tickets. When we'd sold 1,000 tickets a year out because we had about a year and 3 or 4 weeks between conferences. So I think we're going to have a record attendance this year. Is kind of my gut. Hope that you all be a part of it. Thank you for what you are doing. Sarah, any closing words?
No, I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. I love that I have met with a lot of you. If you all are ever interested in hopping on a call with me, I am always available. You have my email. I will be emailing out the recording of this early next week, as well as some other important information.
I love it. Well, Sarah, thank you to all of you that have been with us today, or those of you that are maybe watching or listening to this later. Thank you as well. We're here to serve you. And God bless. Hope you all have a great weekend and a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. If we don't have it, I guess Thanksgiving's first, isn't it? Happy Thanksgiving
Yes.
and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we will be in touch. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, everyone.